Today, we are going to talk about House of Guinness, the new series by Stephen Knight for Netflix. A family story full of secrets, power, and dark beer. This first season of 8 episodes premieres this September in advance thanks to Netflix. And I am going to tell you why it is really worth it. But before starting, I would like to remind you of something very important. If you like what we do, subscribe to our YouTube channel and give it a like, which is what helps us the most to keep growing. Do you know that feeling when you open a can of beer that has been at the back of the fridge for months and you expect it to? Tastes awful, but it turns out to be perfect? Well, that is more or less what happened to me with House of Guinness. Because of course, when I see that Stephen Knight makes another period series after Peaky Blinders, my brain automatically thinks, okay, more of the same, but with a different kind of hats. Well, wrong. A tremendous wrong. The series starts from an original idea by Ivana Lowell, a direct descendant of Arthur Guinness, the founder of the legendary brewery. She grew up among all kinds of family stories, from aristocratic parties to rather dark tragedies, and she realized that her own genealogy had more real drama than many television series. In an almost anecdotal moment, while watching Downton Abbey with her family, she said, "Our story is much juicier than this, and on top of that it is true." So she got to work and wrote a treatment of 20 pages that ended up in the hands of Stephen Knight. The creator of Peaky Blinders, Knight too declares himself a Guinness beer fan and even joked that this was his only requirement to join the project. Felt immediately hooked after reading the material and speaking with Lowell. What interested him, in his own words, was not so much the foundational myth, but the moment of family chaos after the death of Benjamin Guinness. That is where he saw the seed of the conflict. A rich, powerful family, but not entirely accepted by high society, navigating between politics, business, and internal traumas. Although lately, I keep reading that maybe the current owners of House of Guinness have quite a lot of material to make another kind of series. If you can, here is some advice. Look at who the current members are, and tell me if you would not make a series with them. That said, let us go with the official synopsis. Dublin, 1860. After the death of the Guinness patriarch, his 4 children, each with dark secrets to hide, hold in their hands the destiny of the brewery. The series begins with a funeral that already from the start tells you that things here are serious. Benjamin Guinness, the patriarch, dies and leaves a will that is basically a bomb. The children have to share power, and of course, that is where all the trouble begins. What I have liked from the very first moment is that Knight has not bothered to tell us the origins of the brewery. He is not going to explain to us how the grandfather started with a few coins in his pocket and built an empire. Here we start when the empire is already made, but about to burst at the seams. And I think it is a very smart decision because what interests us is not how something is built, but how it is destroyed or kept afloat when it is about to collapse. The heart of this story is Arthur and Edward, the 2 Guinness brothers who have to run the company together. Arthur, played by Anthony Boyle, is the typical older brother who believes he was born to lead. He has that attitude of, I am the responsible one, I understand the business, I have the vision. But beneath that apparent confidence there is a man who is constantly insecure, who needs to prove all the time that he is up to the task. Then there is Edward, and here I have to say that Louis Partridge is spectacular. He is a much more impulsive, more emotional character, but also more human. He has that quality of living in the present, of not overthinking everything. But at the same time, you can tell he carries the weight of the family name. The relationship between them is pure gold. There are moments when you think they will find a way to work together, that they will complement each other, but the series is too honest for that. You realize there are things that simply cannot be fixed with goodwill. And then we have Anne, the sister. Here the series absolutely nails it, because she could have been the typical filler female character, but it is not like that. Emily Farren plays a fascinating character. Anne cannot inherit anything for being a woman and for being married. We are talking about the 19th century, but that does not mean she has no power. On the contrary, she manages to influence in a more subtle but equally effective way. She manipulates, yes, but she does it with an emotional intelligence that her brothers do not have, and some of the most important decisions of the season come from her. But if there is someone who completely won me over in this series, it is Sean Rafferty. James Norton is brilliant in playing this character invented for the series, and thank goodness they invented him, because he is one of the best. Rafferty is a kind of problem solver for the Guinness family, the one who does the dirty work that the rich cannot afford to do publicly. But he is working class. He is Irish. And even if he is indispensable for the family, he will never sit at their table. His relationship with the Guinnesses is ambiguous. They need him, but they despise him. They fear him, but they use him. And meanwhile, he plays his own game. The rest of the cast is also very good. Fionn O'Shea as the younger brother Benjamin is perfect in that role of someone who seems lost but observes everything. And when he finally speaks clearly, you realize he is not as naive as he seemed. Danielle Galligan as Lady Olivia also pleased me a lot. At first you think she is there only as a romantic interest, but in reality she has her own agenda. There are also characters who represent the working class, like Ellen or Patrick Cochrane. The series makes the effort not to remain only with the problems of the rich, but to show how their decisions affect ordinary people. As for the style, Stephen Knight has a very recognizable way of making television. We already saw it in Peaky Blinders. Modern music over period images, a very particular rhythm, dialogues with a double edge. From the first episode, when the music of Fontaine's DC plays while the brothers prepare for their father's funeral, you already know this is not going to be a dim drama. There is energy and contained rage that runs through the series. The production design is spectacular. The factory scenes, with smoke and the bustle of the workers, contrast brutally with the interiors of the family mansion, full of luxury and tension. The spaces also tell the story. The camera sometimes throws you right into the action, and other times lets the characters breathe. Beyond how entertaining the series is, and it is, very much House of Guinness has things to say. It does not throw them in your face with subtitles, but lets them float so that you can discover them. On one hand, there is the issue of social classes. The Guinness family had money, but they were not lifelong aristocrats, and that obsesses them. They want respect, nobiliary titles, recognition, and they pay a very high price for it. Then there is Irish identity, which the series does not dodge. Tensions between Protestants and Catholics, the threat of the politics always present, and in the end, there is the family. How what you inherit conditions you, how expectations mark you, how sometimes you cannot escape the place you have been assigned. Here, there are no clear good or bad guys. There are people trying to survive. Comparisons are inevitable. Downton Abbey for the era, Succession for the family tensions, Peaky Blinders for the visual style. And yes, it has elements of all of them, but in the end, it has its own voice. Rawer than Downton Abbey, less nihilistic than Succession, and more restrained than Peaky Blinders. In conclusion, House of Guinness has been a pleasant surprise. A period drama with a contemporary soul, a story about power, family, and legacy told with Stephen Knight's unmistakable style. With charismatic characters, well-built conflicts, and a historical context that adds depth. It is not perfect. Sometimes it wants to cover too much, and there are secondary plots that could be better developed. But when a series makes you spend hours without realizing it, and leaves you wanting more, it means it is doing something very well. It is not just a series about beer or a brewery. It is a series about what happens when a powerful family begins to fall apart while the world around them is also changing. So, well, are you going to watch House of Guinness, or have you already seen it? I would like to know what you thought, and especially the evolution of the characters. Do you think Stephen Knight has managed to differentiate himself from his previous works? Or do you see too many similarities with Peaky Blinders? And that has been all in these reasons to watch House of Guinness, which arrives this very September on Netflix. Remember to subscribe to the channel to receive more summaries of series and movies.